and welcome to the Be Glad movement. My name's Pollyanna and I'm on a mission to bring you as many stories as possible of good coming out of bad and reasons to be glad. And today I'm joined by Mark and I am super excited to talk to you because you've got an incredible story, a really scary story actually right at the start. So I know you do a lot of public speaking and that kind of thing now, so I'm going to let you just sort of dive in and tell us your story.
Okay, so I'm a former Royal Marine. Joined the Marines in 2001, straight out of school, hoping to fulfill a full 22-year career. Deployed to Iraq on Operation Telet 1 in 2003 when I was 19. Various exercises and deployments around the world. Took a brief 12-month gap and retrained as a bodyguard in 2006, but things didn't really work out for me.
Right.
So 2007 I rejoined the Royal Marines and went straight into a deployment of Afghanistan. Deployed September 7th 2007. Halfway through the tour on Christmas Eve that year, I was out on a routine foot patrol. I was just on the way back into camp to finish up, where we were going to be given 2 days R&R because it was Christmas and we were going to try and take some downtime. And on the way back in, I stood on and detonated an improvised explosive device, which resulted in me losing 3 of my limbs.
Crikey. And you were the first triple amputee of the conflict.
UK's first triple amputee, yeah.
Not something that anyone really aims for, is it? You know?
I've had better Christmases.
Yeah.
I've had better Christmases, but you know, and I always say this, you said earlier, I do a bit of the speaking, travel around and tell my story to people, and one of the main things I like to get across to people is how incredible the guys were with me on the ground from the moment that I was injured. Right. You know, one of the things that really blew me away, excuse the expression, but you do all this training for these different scenarios and you mess it up time after time after time in training, and maybe you'll get it right, you know, 4 or 5 times out of 10.
Yeah.
But when it actually happens and people's lives depend on it, the people around you just do it, and it becomes so professional, because we're trained in this situation not to go running and diving into a minefield to help the guy out, because you risk setting off any other devices that are around which could injure or kill you, or injure or kill the casualty.
Sure.
And you know, in that situation, I don't know what the guys were feeling, but they must have been looking at me as one of their comrades and friends lying there dying, and their emotions want them to run in to help, but they're trained not to. And everyone is given a predetermined task in the event of this happening, and everyone just clicked in so well. You know, straight away one guy's on the radio and he's ordering in a Casevac. The guy closest to me, who, if I remember, had only finished his training about 3 months previously and flown straight out, he was marking a safe route to me for when the medic got there. One of the other guys was coordinating a defensive position in case there was a follow-up attack by the enemy. Everyone just clicked in so well, and when the medic did get to me, he could run straight in. He didn't risk injuring himself or anyone else. Got to work on me straight away, stabilised me and got me out of there as quick as he could. So
fantastic.
Even in that situation when I was lying there bleeding out, dying, I remember thinking, these guys are incredible. They're just doing what they're trained to do, and they're so professional.
Awesome. But you were actually considered dead at one point, weren't you, in the helicopter?
I did die, yeah. When they got me onto the back of the helicopter, when they felt me for a pulse and I didn't have one, they tried to put an intravenous line into me to give me fluids, but all of my veins had collapsed because of the massive blood loss. And then they put an oxygen mask on me, which they said should have steamed up to show that I was breathing, but it didn't.
Right.
So they put me in a corner and made the call that I was dead. And there was another guy injured who had shrapnel in his back, so they carried on working on him.
Right.
Now, when one of the medics walked past me to get some equipment to go back and work on the other casualty, they said that my eye fluttered, which meant that my heart was beating. So he then alerted some of the other medics. They came over to me, and then they performed a procedure on me, which the army medical field, I don't know what they're called, but the top brass there, they'd only just cleared this technique for use 3 days prior.
Wow.
And they had only ever practiced it in a clean, sterile room in some sort of training exercise.
Yeah.
And it involved 2 people taking a drill, one each, and one were drilling through the front of my hip, one were drilling through the back, right next to all my vital organs, in a Chinook helicopter, banking left to right, covered in sand and dust and all the adrenaline flowing and chaos going on.
Wow.
And they drilled in, they put an intravenous line in, and then they said within about 3 minutes I was awake again, and they brought me back and I was responsive and answering their questions coherently, not just babbling. So they saved me again. So professional, so slick, so quick, so calm. So many things just went on that people were so good that, you know, that's the reason I'm here now.
That is, yeah, mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Because literally, yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's tragic being the casualty and having to fight for your life, but doing that job that I did, I was comfortable with that. That's what I enjoyed, and that's why I couldn't do a medic's job. I've got so much respect for those people. I couldn't be the guy stood there looking at this and then in my brain thinking, okay, my training, what did I do? Do I do this? Do I do that? This guy's life depends on it. I'd be panicking and flapping. That's out of my comfort zone. So I've just got so much respect for those guys, how they can do that under that pressure. And like I said, in the back of a helicopter that's just flying out of a combat zone, avoiding fire, sand and dirt flying everywhere, your visibility's down, and it's just insane how they could do it.
But here you are, they did it.
They did do it, they did do it.
And you've gone on to achieve some really great things as well, haven't you? I know it's been sort of just over 10 years ago now. But last year you were in the Invictus Games, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
And got 5 medals, is that right?
4 medals, and then the award for, I think it was Outstanding Athlete of the Games it was called, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was a bit of a crazy journey. You know, when I went through rehab, a lot of my friends and colleagues, when they were injured, they were coming in after, they just jumped straight into sport. And I didn't bother. You know, I had different goals. My main goal was to ditch my wheelchair, which I did in June 2009, so 9 years this month. And none of these sports that people offered interested me. You know, before I was injured, I fought Muay Thai, full contact kickboxing, and I boxed for the Marines. So it was very much contact sports where you needed all your limbs, and I didn't. There was just something about adaptive sports that I didn't like, and I didn't have any interest in. So I left it. And then what I do is every December I'll sit down and I'll scribble out all my goals for the following year. And I was sat in my office at home and I was scribbling all these goals down. And I sat there and just closed my eyes for a minute and thought, what would be really cool to achieve? And I had this mental image of a jigsaw puzzle, and it kind of had family there, career there, health and fitness, finances, and all these other areas that I've been working on over the last 9 years. But the one that was missing was sport.
Okay.
So I thought, you know what, I'll have a go at these adaptive sports. I'll try and find something that I think I can enjoy and that I'll be passionate about. I'll have a go, and it'd be a nice way to round off a 10-year anniversary by doing the thing that I haven't done. Now, rather than just, you know, taste these sports and have a little go, I thought I'd seen in the 3 years previously, you know, a lot of my friends doing the Invictus Games and achieving incredible things, and not just medals, but, you know, taking their rehab and their recovery to another level. I'd seen people that were really shy and didn't like crowds, then going out into these crowds and really excelling in these sports. So I thought I'll give this a go and jump straight into the deep end.
Yeah.
So I signed up for the Invictus Games last year. I went in with the wrong attitude, I think.
Oh, okay.
My attitude was, this is going to be quite easy. I'm a Royal Marine. It's going to be brute force and ignorance. I'm pretty fit. I'll better just go in and trash everybody. And then I went to my first training camp and I walked away extremely humbled by how high a level these guys competed at, how hard it was, how it wasn't just about brute force and ignorance. Even things like rowing, where you go backwards and forwards. Yeah. I thought, well, how hard can that be? And how strategic can it be? And I was completely wrong. There's so much strategy, so much technique, so much training involved. So it really made me sit back and think. And then I just kind of switched my mindset and thought, I need to have the mindset of an athlete, not just a guy that's turning up to go as hard as he can. Yeah. I need to become an athlete in my mind.
Sure.
And so I just started training and researching and really listening to my coaches and sucking in all the information that they'd give me, taking it back, testing it, and then just doing, you know, everything I could to be better.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone at the games has their own individual idea of what success means. So like for some people it's personal bests.
Yeah.
For some people, like I said, it's just being in an environment with all the crowds screaming and shouting where they're not comfortable. And for some people it's medals.
Sure.
You know, for me it was medals. I wanted to push myself as hard as I could, physically and mentally,
Yeah.
and then see what I could achieve. And so I just went out and thrashed myself for like 10 months. I went to Canada last year, picked up 2 silvers in the rowing, 2 bronzes in the swimming, and then the award for outstanding athlete of the games. Did nothing at all in the cycling. Those guys were phenomenally good at what they did, way better than I could ever hope to be, I think. But I gave it a shot.
Yeah.
And I'm now in training for this year's games over in Australia. So I've literally just finished training this morning. I was up at 5 on the rower, on the bike, and then came straight over here.
So you're going to do rowing, cycling and swimming again?
No, I'm going to row, I'm going to swim, and I'm going to do shot put and discus.
Oh wow, okay.
My idea this year, so last year I did a 4-minute row and a 1-minute row, a 50-metre swim and a 100-metre swim, and then the time trial bike race and the criterium race, and it literally consumed my year.
Yeah.
You know, that 4-minute row is really, really difficult physically, and that consumed my year just trying to hit the target I wanted to hit and get a gold medal in that. So this year I thought, okay, I'll do the 1-minute row, I'll do the 50-metre swim, and I'll do shot put and discus because I feel I'm more suited to short, sharp, quick events and power-based events.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine who's a serving Royal Marine, he was a PTI, he's now an officer. He works with the Invictus Games. When I was travelling back from London about 3 weeks ago, about 8 o'clock in the evening, he rang me up and he said, look, I'm just confirming your events, I'm sending your paperwork off now. Can you confirm you're doing the 1-minute row, the 50-metre swim, shot put and discus? I said, yep, that's what I'm doing. He said, why are you not doing the 4-minute row and the 100-metre swim? I said, you know, I just wanted to take it a little bit easier this year, try and enjoy the whole experience a bit more instead of just thrashing myself with training. And he went, so you're not doing a 4-minute row and you're not doing a 100-metre swim? I said, no. He said, you are now, and he hung the phone up.
Oh no.
So now I am doing the 4-minute row, the 1-minute row, the 50-metre swim, the 100-metre swim, shot put and discus.
Oh my goodness.
So it is full on training now,
Yeah.
which I started about 3 weeks ago, all the way through now till we leave on October 15th.
Crikey. October 15th. Wow. So you've trained this morning. Are you training 2 or 3 times a day, or literally just sort of?
It's really difficult because I have a full-time job. I work for the Royal Marine charity, so I'm doing that in a day. I have 3 children, so I try and do as many of the school runs and that kind of stuff as possible. But I train early in the morning so that I can fit in a full day's work. I actually did this morning when I was in there. I think I'm going to do some strength and conditioning later because I've got quite a slack day today, so I'm probably going to hit the weights a bit later. But then I do a lot of travelling as well. You know, so I'm speaking in Glasgow this week, so that's a day out of training. So I have to catch up on the weekend. But you know, I'm lucky in that my job is very flexible. A lot of the other guys in the team, they have 9-to-5 jobs and children as well, and just trying to fit the training is hard in itself. But we all do the best we can, so I will try and fit in. You know, I've got to do at least 1 session a day, at least 5 times a week, as a bare minimum.
To keep it up. I've got a friend who's a physio, and she says that if you aren't using your muscles continuously, it can literally deteriorate within a day. You need to be exercising all the time to keep your strength up.
And that's funny because I've just taken this weekend as a rest weekend, and I've been absolutely knackered.
Really?
The entire weekend of doing nothing.
Right.
I've been napping like an old man in a day. Like getting to 2 o'clock and just falling asleep in a chair. But when I get up now and I'm on at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm going about my day, working and everything else, I can go till 11 at night and I'll be up again at 5 the next day. But when I take that time off, I just feel tired.
Sets you up, excuse me, sets you up for the day, doesn't it? If you've done exercise in the morning. I prefer to exercise in the morning, and then I feel like I've got a lot more energy for the rest of the day. Fantastic. And am I right in thinking that you're going to make a movie about the rest of, or all of your life? Is that, you did some Kickstarter fundraising?
Yes, I did, last year, January, we started, myself and another former Royal Marine, Matt Elliott, We started a fundraising campaign to make a documentary, which was very successful. The original plan was that we would finish it in December last year and then release it to coincide with my 10-year anniversary.
Right.
But this thing just snowballed over the year. And the Invictus Games wasn't a plan of mine at the beginning of last year. That came in, so Matt came out to Canada with us and we got loads more footage. But I'm actually working on that tomorrow.
Right.
And we're finishing off, literally I think tomorrow's our last day.
Okay.
Where he's done all the editing. We've just got to sync up some bits and pieces, review all the footage. It's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
But that's going to be finished this year. That's going to be out, and it's a fly on the wall documentary. Just follow me around, seeing what life is like as a triple amputee, with work, with training, with family, with the career and all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited for when it comes out. I've been waiting a long time to get this finished, so I just hope it has a good reception from the guys that helped to fundraise for it, and I hope it does well.
Because you exceeded the target that you originally set, didn't you?
We did. We raised 35,000 in the end, which is really helped out. We got the drones and some fancy kit, and it helped pay for Matt's time when we were out filming and travelling and hotels and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
awesome. It'd be nice if you can get it out to coincide with the Invictus Games this year.
I think we can. Awesome. I think we can. Like I say, tomorrow is the last day of working on it, so then it should just be a little bit of Matt's end of things, or the fancying it up, and then we can just get it out there.
Awesome. Cool. So obviously this is a B Glad movement, and it's sort of trying to extract good that's come out. I know obviously the Invictus Games is a good thing that's come out, but when you reflect back on your experience of being blown up, essentially, what would you say is sort of your biggest learning curve, or what do you think, how has it sort of affected your life the most, do you think?
This is going to sound corny and cliche, but I just think that in any bad situation that we face in life, anybody, and then that's completely individual to that person, what they class as a bad situation. As hard as it is, if you look for the positive in that situation, you focus on that rather than negative, you can take your life in a completely different direction and live on a completely different level.
Yeah.
When I was injured, I was the first in the UK. I used to look around at other guys in rehab who maybe had a below-knee amputation, who could get up within 3 weeks of being injured, pop on their leg and walk off, and I used to get so down about it. Right. And I used to think, you're so lucky, I wish that was me. And then when I went to rehab, I was put in a high dependency room. There were 4 rooms behind the nurses station, and there was a guy in one and me in another, and 2 empty ones. And I never saw the guy when I first went there. And then my first night in rehab, I just heard this guy just screaming in pain all night. And then the next day I went past him in a wheelchair, and he was a young guy, I think he was 19. He had half his head blown off by a hand grenade.
Oh my goodness.
And he was craned in and out of his bed, he couldn't speak, he had to be washed and fed. And I just thought, actually, my life isn't that bad.
Right.
What you see is what you get. I've got no internal injuries to my organs, everything works fine, it's just literally a couple of limbs missing.
Sure.
And what's the good in my situation? So I just started looking for that and focusing on that, and getting myself around really good people.
Yeah.
I was quite brutal actually with getting rid of negative people in my life.
Right.
The guys that focused on negativity, I just really swept them out of my life as much as I could, and got around guys that were more interested in focusing on the good and what they could do, not just for themselves, but even further beyond that, helping other people in similar situations later on. And people find this hard to believe when I say it. My life is brilliant. I couldn't ask for a better life. I've had so much help and had so many good people around me, and been out and had so many opportunities to do things and experience so much that I don't think I ever would have got to do had this not happened. You can't help but be grateful for things then.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you so much for giving up this time and coming to talk to me. I really, really appreciate it. And I'll share links at the end to your website, and everyone can track along for when that film gets released, because that's really exciting. So if you like this video, please do click the subscribe button, and then you'll get notified when new videos are uploaded. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. If you search @BeGladMovement, you'll be able to find us. Please do get in touch if you've got a story that you'd like to share. I really do believe that even if it's a similar story to somebody else's story, it's really important that you might touch someone who just needs to hear your story and your voice. So please do get in touch, because I would love to speak to you. Many thanks for watching, and we'll see you in another episode.